Now at 11, from the labs at NASA to the campus of Oregon State, how researchers are repurposing technology that once helped us travel to space.
The Police Bureau did a fantastic job under very, very difficult circumstances.
Portland's mayor calls the response to this weekend's protest a success, but find out how much it cost the city.
And the measles hit a mark we haven't seen in nearly 3 decades. The new local cases and the warning from health officials as kids head back to school. Your news starts now.
We begin tonight with shocking news from the Portland Public School District. They nearly lost $2.9 million in a scam. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. It all came down to a fake account. KGW's Catherine Cook breaks down what happened.
PPS sent a letter to parents and staff today to reveal what happened. They say that $2.9 million was transferred to a fraudulent account that was disguised as the account of a PPS construction contractor. The good news in all of this is the bank was able to freeze the funds, so the district should be able to get all of the money back. PPS has put 2 employees on paid administrative leave, but they say those employees did not commit any crimes. Instead, they say it appears the fraud came from outside sources. While exactly how this happened remains under investigation, a cybersecurity expert says cases like this often start with a phishing email to someone in the company or organization.
The person gets the email and then clicks on it and enters their password. And from that moment on, the scammers have total control of their email account. And what they do is they will create fake invoices from that email account, often from outside companies. This is a very, very successful scam. It is very rampant.
PPS says they are reviewing all of their payment procedures, and all district staff will get updated training to try and prevent incidents like this from happening again. Back to you.
Catherine, thank you. Now let's get you caught up on some of tonight's other top headlines. A man has possibly drowned after going under the water in the Columbia River near Rooster Rock in the Gorge. Deputies say the man was with an acquaintance at the time, swimming off Sand Island when he got into trouble. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office searched for the man for several hours tonight, but could not find him. They plan to go back in the daylight tomorrow to see if it's safe enough for divers to go under the water and recover his body. Police have found and arrested now the driver accused of a hit-and-run crash that put a bicyclist in the hospital. Looking at 24-year-old Joshua Hooper, he's accused of hitting at least 3 parked cars and a cyclist near Northwest 22nd and Irving in Portland.
I'm just, getting dressed. I'm like, what the heck? And this huge crash, really loud. So I open up the window and I see this van and a cop right on it.
The cyclist was taken to the hospital and will recover. Police say the driver tried to take off but hit another parked car. He then ran out and took off on foot. Officers arrested him in that same area a little later. Police have just identified the man killed in Gresham near an industrial building at 181st and Wilkes Road. It happened Saturday. The victim, 38-year-old Nathan Butchick from Portland. Investigators say he was stabbed. They don't have any information on a suspect.
We said that if you came here, we'd be ready for you if you wanted to commit acts of violence, and we were.
Portland's mayor says weeks of planning paid off, keeping this weekend's dueling protests relatively peaceful. But the huge police response came at a hefty price for the city. While you're listening to the story, we want to know how you would grade the police response. You can vote on your KGW app or on kgw.com/vote. KGW's Lindsay Nadrich followed up with the mayor today to find out how their planning worked.
Portland police think around 1,200 people took part in the demonstrations. Mayor Wheeler says the city prepared for the worst-case scenario and the possibility of widespread violence. But violence was kept to a minimum, and protesters were contained to only parts of the city.
Even though it was largely a successful policing action, it still hurt this community and the people who live here, the people who want to go about their business.
It took more than 700 officers to keep the peace. The department took a new approach. It put a police liaison with each group and tried to keep the opposing sides away from each other. That helped keep violence down and helped the city have a better idea of what was going on. They also set up communication centers so they could get information out quickly address misperceptions, and dispel rumors that popped up online. The mayor says planning for the protest took weeks of work alongside federal, state, and local agencies. When it was all said and done, the mayor says the demonstrations cost the city millions of dollars.
We don't know the exact costs, but it comes, number one, in terms of public resources that were expended. If we're spending money on demonstrations, we're not spending money on addressing homelessness or picking up the trash or other public safety issues. It's also clear that this took a toll on the business community.
13 people were arrested. 2 were juveniles. The majority were cited and released for things like disorderly conduct, interfering with police, and having weapons in a park. Damian McKinnon and Alexander Dial were both booked into jail. McKinnon was unidentified until this afternoon. Court documents say he was tackled by an officer after police saw him get into a fight and run into the street in front of cars. Police say Dial was part of the group seen here, attacking a bus with people from far-right groups on board. I spoke with Dial over the phone today. He told me he's already getting threats and didn't want to do an interview for safety reasons. Mayor Wheeler said every demonstration is different, but they plan to use some of the same strategies moving forward, which could be soon, since one of the event organizers, who was from Florida, says they plan to come here and demonstrate every single month.
We're going to continue to speak out against hate and against violence. And at the end of the day, we're going to keep watching them. We're going to keep holding people accountable. And if they violate the law, they'll be arrested. We're going to make it very inconvenient for them to come here if their objective is not to engage peacefully.
I also asked to speak with Portland Police Chief Danielle Outlaw today, but was told she wasn't available. Police did say, though, if they get information about another event, they'll evaluate it and tailor their response appropriately. Back to you.
Don't forget to let us know what you think. Click the Vote tab on your KGW app or go directly to kgw.com/vote to grade the city's police response. We'll reveal the results later in this newscast. Because of all the lead up to the rally, downtown was pretty empty compared to a typical Saturday. The mayor alluded to this, that businesses were hit hard. Gray Line Tours estimates a loss between $5,000 and $6,000 on Saturday. Saturday market vendors also took a hit. The executive director estimates the organization lost several thousands of dollars in revenue that day. The owner of Foot Traffic says they shut down for the day. Sean Rivers says over the last 5 years, the negative perception of downtown Portland has grown.
There's a rippling effect that is not always understood, because this event is over, but now what do the general population in Portland think about coming downtown? They're like, downtown, man, there's always something happening down there.
Today, Mayor Wheeler said the city plans to announce efforts to get people to come out and support local businesses downtown next weekend. But Rivers says between these protests and the city's homeless crisis, downtown needs more than just a PR push.
There's a new development in a medical custody battle that we've been following for you, and it involves a 13-year-old cancer patient and the battle between her mom and the medical community over how to best treat her. Today, the state revealed that it does plan to move forward with plans for Kylie Dixon to, in fact, have surgery. Now, Kylie was taken into state protective custody in June. This is after her mother failed to follow a court order to bring the 13-year-old in for prescribed treatment. The state believes that Kylie needs life-saving surgery to remove a tumor, but the 13-year-old and her mom don't want that surgery. They've been opting instead for alternative medicine, including CBD oil. Kylie's mother, Christina Dixon, is facing charges now of custodial interference and criminal mistreatment.
They said that she was going to die without the surgery. And 2 months later, she's still here. Cancer has not metastasized. The tumor has continued to shrink. Where's the truth at? Let's be honest here.
Kylie's mother said the next hearing is scheduled for early September. If the state does schedule surgery before then, she's going to file a motion with the court asking for an emergency hearing.
New cases of measles in our area have health officials once again urging parents to get their children vaccinated. The Oregon Health Authority announced today there have been 9 cases in Multnomah and Clackamas counties since July. Those cases are all closely related, with those infected being in close contact with each other. But Multnomah County health officials want parents to make sure their kids are vaccinated before school starts.
Schools, child care centers, those are places where kids have a lot of close prolonged contact, and that's a recipe for spread of a lot of diseases, but especially measles because it's so contagious.
Since the beginning of the year, 23 people have contracted the measles virus in Oregon. That's the largest number since 1991.
Still to come, giving an old piece of NASA equipment some new life. How researchers in Oregon are using it to study tsunamis that could hit our coast.
Plus, Alpenrose Dairy up for sale again. How family members are fighting to keep it in the community.
And later, how an Oregon family has turned a skunk into a service animal.
And I'm Matt Safino. We had a warm day today and a great sunset too. A couple of scattered high clouds, but off the horizon, a lot more high clouds. There's rain on the way, not tomorrow, but on Wednesday, and it's looking rather impressive.